On certain nights, when the fog settles over the valley and the wind carries no sound, Crescent Lake looks deceptively calm. Locals say it breathes. Its surface moves even when the air is still, as if something beneath it shifts and exhales. Tourists don't usually know that beneath its black waters lies an entire town, drowned decades ago when the government built a dam and buried homes, streets, and a church under the rising flood. The people who lost their lives in that flood were never recovered. Some say they never left at all. The old-timers whisper about it in hushed tones. Don't go out on that lake after dark, because sometimes the water doesn't just drown you. Sometimes it takes you. Amelia, Daniel, Chris, and Zoe weren't from the town. They were college kids, chasing the thrill of places with ghost stories attached, the kind of kids who thought warnings from locals were part of the fun. It was Daniel's idea, mostly. He wanted to see the drowned church that was supposed to appear in the water on nights when the moon was low. He wanted proof for his social media page. Amelia came along because she didn't want to leave him alone with his stupid dare. Chris wanted a thrill, and Zoe just wanted to prove to herself that she wasn't as scared as she usually was. The four of them pushed a rowboat out onto the lake as the sun sank behind the hills. By the time they reached the middle, the last of the light was gone, and the water was so dark it looked more like tar than water. Amelia noticed it first, a faint metallic smell in the air like rust or like blood. She kept it to herself. The boat creaked, the paddles cut into the inky surface, and the silence of the valley swallowed them whole. Then, as if the lake wanted them to hear, something drifted up from below. Amelia saw it flash just once under the surface, a pale rectangle. Like a window. She blinked hard. It wasn't possible, but she swore she saw light flickering beneath them, not moonlight, not reflection. A lantern glow, warm and steady. Far below, as though someone's home still stood, still burning a lamp. She gripped the edge of the boat, and that's when Daniel's radio clicked on by itself. The speaker hissed, crackled, then cleared, and what spilled out was not static. It was faint, muffled laughter. Children's laughter, so soft it seemed like it was floating up through the water itself. The laughter shifted, bent, turned into a woman's scream, then into the long toll of a church bell. Zoe shuddered and covered her ears, her breath ragged. Chris, nervous but trying to laugh it off, leaned over the edge and dipped his hand into the black water. Probably some underwater speakers, some urban legend crap the locals keep going for tourists. But when he lifted his hand back up, something came with it. Dot on his palm lay a finger bone, small and white, still slick with slime. Everyone stared at it. Chris cursed and dropped it back into the water, but the water didn't ripple. It thickened, darkened, turned sluggish. A slow red bloom spread from where the bone had fallen, curling tendrils of crimson until the whole lake around the boat was the color of blood. Amelia's stomach twisted. The smell of iron was overwhelming now. Before anyone could process it, Zoe screamed. Something beneath had taken hold of her ankle and yanked her half over the boat. She kicked, clawing at the wood, but the water pulled her down fast. Daniel grabbed her wrist, and for a heartbeat Amelia thought he'd save her. Then she saw Zoe's skin where the water touched it. It was sloughing off in sheets, peeling away like wet paper, exposing the bright meat beneath. She screamed again, but it was cut off by a choke of water filling her lungs. They dragged her up for one impossible moment, her head breaking the surface. Her face was half gone, her jaw exposed, teeth bare with no lips to hide them, her eyes bulging wide with terror, but still alive, still conscious. Her tongue flopped weightly, severed at the tip, spraying blood across Amelia's hands as Zoe tried to speak. It sounded like a gurgling whisper, "Join us." Then her wrist tore from Daniel's grip, flesh ripping, tendon snapping, and she vanished beneath the surface. A trail of bubbles and blood was all that remained. The three left behind were frozen, horror etched into their faces. The boat rocked violently as if the lake itself was shoving it. Daniel tried paddling, but the oars jammed, as though the water had solidified around them. Chris was babbling, insisting it wasn't real, that maybe it was some kind of hallucination. But Amelia's eyes were locked downward, and she wished she hadn't looked. The moon had cleared the clouds now, and in its reflection she could see beneath the water. A town, clear as day. Streets stretching out, houses half collapsed but still standing, street lamps glowing faintly. And shapes people walking those drowned streets, their heads tilted back as if looking up at her. Faces melted, rotting, skulls showing through torn skin. Dozens of them, hundreds maybe, and every single one turned their eyeless sockets toward the boat duck Chris leaned too far over, shouting something at the vision below. A hand shot up from the blood-red surface, skeletal and slick, grabbing his shirt. He screamed, but before Daniel or Amelia could pull him back, he was yanked under. The water churned. Then, horribly, he came back up. His torso had split open, ribs cracked apart like someone had torn him in half and stitched him loosely back together. Loops of intestine floated free, bobbing in the water like pale snakes. His jaw dangled broken, his tongue shredded, yet somehow, words still came through. "You'll look just like me." He tried climbing back into the boat, guts spilling over the edge, and Amelia kicked him away, sobbing. Chris sank again, dragged by unseen arms, his voice echoing even as he went under Amelia. And Daniel clung to each other. The lake was alive now. All around them, pieces surfaced, hands, feet, torn faces, as though the water was vomiting up the remains of centuries. The rowboat lurched violently and began to sink. Daniel screamed at Amelia to jump, to swim for shore. She hesitated, and that was when she saw them. Children, dozens of them, rising from beneath the crimson water. Their small skeletal arms reached up, skin hanging in ribbons, teeth clicking as they giggled. Their laughter echoed the one she'd heard on the radio. They swarmed Daniel first, pulling him down. He kicked wildly, splashing, but the children bit into his arms, tore chunks from his legs. His scream pitched higher, gurgled, and then his head was seized by something larger. Through the foam, Amelia saw a priest's figure rise from the drowned town. His robe shredded, his face half gone, jaw split in two. With one enormous motion, he gripped Daniel's skull and twisted. Bone cracked, the sound wet and sharp. The scream cut off, leaving only the bubbling hiss of blood spreading through the lake. Amelia was alone. The boat was gone beneath her, swallowed by the water, and she thrashed toward the shore, clawing against the thickness of the blood around her. She felt fingers clutching at her ankles, teeth scraping her calves, but somehow she tore free. She didn't look back, couldn't look back. She dragged herself onto the mud at the bank and collapsed, sobbing, coughing blood-streaked water from her lungs. She staggered to her car, shaking so violently she could barely hold the keys. Every inch of her skin burned. She caught her reflection in the rearview mirror and nearly screamed. Her veins stood out black, as if something had gotten into her bloodstream. She told herself she was imagining it. She just needed to get away. She turned the key, the engine roared, and she sped from the lake without daring to glance into the rearview again. Her phone buzzed in the passenger seat. She snatched it up, desperate for a connection to anything normal. But the screen was already open to a live video feed. It wasn't from her. It wasn't from anyone she knew. It was from beneath the lake. The camera moved through the drowned town, down streets she recognized from the vision. And there, oh God, there they were. Zoe, her skull bare, jaw hanging loose, her voice a wet whisper. Chris, his organs trailing. Behind him like a grotesque parade. Daniel, head twisted backward, eyes black and empty, stumbling alongside them. They moved together slowly like puppets tied to the same string. They stopped all at once and looked directly at the camera. Directly at Amelia. Zoe stepped closer, her fleshless grin filling the frame. Her whisper crawled through the speakers. "You'll never leave. You're already one of us." The video cut off. Amelia screamed and hurled the phone away, slamming her foot on the gas, but her hands trembled. She looked down at her skin and saw it blistering, peeling, as if the lake still clung to her. She could smell the iron stink, hear the faint toll of a church bell echoing inside her skull. She realized then, with a hollow certainty, that Crescent Lake had never let anyone go. It hadn't spared her. It had marked her, the last thing she remembered before the road blurred and the steering wheel slipped from her. Hands was that her breath no longer sounded like her own. It bubbled, it gurgled, like the lake dot and far behind her, in the valley where the water lay still and black once more. The drowned town waited. It waited patiently, as it always did, for the next visitor foolish enough to come searching for whispers, because Crescent Lake doesn't drown you, Dot, it eats you.
Please like and subscribe channel Fear Frequency for more horror stories. Thank you.